Algorand are absolutely killing it and continue to kill it, ladies and gentlemen. In this video, we're going to be giving you an Algorand Algo update. We're going to be looking at some of the most recent news coming out for Algorand and its ecosystem, and also doing a little bit of price analysis. You guys will know that we loaded up on Algorand at the start of the year, having been out for the majority of 2022. First time buying many cryptos, and Algorand was one of them, as it's one of my favorite blockchains that I think is going to play a fundamental and staple role in the blockchain space. You know, every single time I come over to coin market cap, literally one of the first thoughts I have is, why is Algorand not in the top 10, if not top 5? I like this blockchain that much. I think strategically they're killing it. I think fundamentally they're killing it. Technologically they're killing it. Ecosystemly, or from a DeFi point of view, they are looking to kill it and ever expanding and really growing. And also from a price point of view, you know, they've done very, very well from where we sort of started looking to reinvest. And you can see Algorand is currently 34th in terms of market cap. It deserves, in my opinion, to be in the top 10, if not top 5. We're that bullish on Algorand. We think from a technological point of view, they are superior to most and actually stand a good chance of winning or being one of the winners. I think there's going to be multiple winners within the layer one crypto space, within this kind of smart contract space. And they're looking to run side chains. There's so much going on. We covered in one of our last videos the upgrade that had taken place that people largely missed, that was just prior to Christmas. It was November, where they actually look to move to around about 6,000 transactions per second, which is more than Visa do currently per second. So Algorand is already scalable, secure. You know, it's a blockchain that is already far more advanced than many out there. And it's had no downtime. It's forkless. It's just an absolutely beast of a blockchain. I really do believe that. And it's very cheap to use. It's carbon negative, I think, in terms of, you know, it's not only does it not pollute the environment at all, it actually gives back to it. So it's the green blockchain, which of course is a... what's the right word for it? Something that's held very highly in today's world and is becoming a huge issue. We see it with Bitcoin. So I think these guys are positioned to take over the entire blockchain space, and we see them have some phenomenally important strategic partnerships. You know, Silvio Micali recently spoke about the Bank of Italy partnership. Bank of Italy is a staple bank within the European Union. They already run CBDCs in the Marshall Islands. They have recently looked to drive Web3 adoption in India. Through key partnerships, Algorand has partnered with several educational institutions and schools to create a program for faculty members, students, and businesses looking to jump into Web3. Algorand Foundation announces several partnerships in India, including collaborating with schools to develop educational programs to help grow Web3 in the country. In an announcement sent to Cointelegraph, the Algorand team said it's partnered with... I am not going to try and say that, guys. Please forgive me. If there's any Indian listeners out there, I don't want to even attempt to pronounce that. I'm dyslexic. I can barely pronounce English, let alone the name of an Indian university. Technological University, Hyderabad, and the Indian School of Business to launch educational programs. This includes programs for faculty development and student developer training. Additionally, the firm will host masterclass for business looking to dive into Web3. So this is absolutely huge, guys. They go on to say, we are ready to take center stage in India and across the globe to fuel world-changing solutions to improve access to financial services, healthcare, education, and so many other critical applications. One area, we're also focused on the Western world and the JP Morgans and the institutional adoption of crypto. But crypto is going to have, and blockchains, in my opinion, and it's just my opinion, is actually going to have the largest impact in terms of the change it's going to make in places like India, in places like the continent of Africa, in certain parts of Asia, in South America. You know, this is where blockchain is really going to have the biggest impact, in my opinion, and is literally going to change people's lives. I say that with a huge smile on my face because it's a little dark in here, so maybe you can't tell. But what a amazing opportunity you guys at the other end of the screens have in front of you, being an early investor or an early somebody who's interested in blockchain at this very early critical stage. Blockchain is absolutely a technological revolution. It's been a theme that we've kept going throughout the entirety of the channel, through bulls and bear markets, through hacks and everything else, that this technology will succeed. And actually, Algorand, I think, is going to be one of those blockchains that not only succeeds, but is one of the victors of it. I'm a lot more bullish on Algorand than I am the likes of Bitcoin. I think in the future, is it out the realms of possibility that we get $1 trillion smart contract platform? Well, Ethereum nearly got there. And I actually think that Bitcoin and Ethereum are largely old tech. I think there's more room to grow for some of these smart contract blockchains, certainly if they end up starting to run the infrastructure of tomorrow's world, which involves blockchain. In the same way we're talking over the internet, on a computer, I'm using a microphone, you probably used your phone or you've driven a car. These are all technological revolutions that have came prior. Blockchain is very similar in the sense that it's going to change the world, and you're going to be using it in everyday life without even knowing it. We covered a paper from the Bank of England yesterday that we're talking about moving the pound onto DLT. Sounds like a sandwich, distributed ledger technology. Everything. They mentioned healthcare here, education, and so many other things. It's all going to be ran on blockchain, ladies and gentlemen. So this was interesting. I'll leave this in the description. Silvio giving a talk. Very inspiring. They put some nice music in the background. I was going to play it, but it's in Italian. Algorand's ecosystem is just exploding, guys. I mean, it really is. We see, and they're at the UCA Berkeley. It's not just India where they've embedded themselves from an educational point of view. It's in places like the US. It's in place, across the globe. Algorand are looking to expand and gain recognition and notoriety. And it's amazing to see, guys, because I really do believe, and we're going to continue to update people regularly. Hopefully we've got John Wood coming on the show on Friday, so that'll be released next week for you guys. John Wood's an amazing character himself, and the fact that he's working on Algorand, is just fantastic. We were going to say that you've got to be careful in terms of a price perspective. So just to wrap up sort of the fundamental news, this is the big news coming out from Algorand. We did cover the upgrade that they had on the back end of Christmas, or the front end of Christmas. They just continue to kill it and just make progress after progress after progress after progress, and come up with new and exciting things within their ecosystem. Like I say, from a blockchain point of view, they are far more advanced than most layer ones out there. From a scalability point of view, from a security point of view, throughput, lacking a bit in the DeFi ecosystem and the TVL within it. But I think that will come. They've really focused on building a blockchain and then looking to get the ball rolling on those other things. So Algorand's done exceptionally well recently, but it is still, and you've got to be mindful of this, and we're not trying to trick anybody here, nearly 90% down from its all-time highs. Okay, so you have not missed the Algorand train for anybody that's worried. And in fact, this is just getting started. And potentially, this doesn't even have to be a reversal, but potentially it is. You can see whatever counts you want to make here, you have broken out. This is very, very similar with all blockchains right now of this structure, potentially. Now, I want to warn people, we've spoken about Bitcoin, we speak about it daily, we speak about the reasons why we invested back on the 5th, which was here, by the way. We had a conversation, me and my Patreons. If you want to be ahead of the curve, guys, you need to, well, you don't need to, but listen to somebody who actually is an active investor and a trader, not just a content creator. This was when we looked at investing in crypto for the first time, and Algorand, of course, was one of them. We then made the purchase up here, and of course, it's done very, very well since that. All the proof is in the pudding. We're very transparent on this channel. However, I think this has created a lot of FOMO. I think there's a lot of FOMO in the market right now. You are running into key resistance. Okay, it's likely that you're going to get a pushback here. Now, just because it's likely, if you look at what the Nasdaq's done, remember, risk has become somewhat the flavor again. You can see it ran into its key resistance here. It did pull back, but only to set up for that continuation, and actually pull back onto what this trend line that set it up for that continuation. Algorand could be potentially similar. Okay, so I would like to see this. If we actually use this as the neckline for the head and shoulders, let's drop down the time frames and get a bit more accuracy on this. Often trends can end with a reverse head with a head and shoulders, whether it's reverse or whether it's proper. So you can see you've been rejected here. Key resistance. Traders will short this all day long, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to see a deeper correction before setting up for continuation. You have this structure across the board. We're looking at this for Bitcoin actually right now. So we've been looking for a pullback. I've been trying to sort of keep people level-headed in terms of not FOMOing. Bearing in mind, we likely don't feel the FOMO because we've already invested, a portion of our capital. So we've appreciated on a lot of this upside. But this is potentially what you're going to be looking at moving forwards, in my opinion, for Algorand. Something along these lines. And then you're going to, I think you're going to be making your way back up to 53, 54 cents in no time, by the way, guys. And then you're going to do a similar thing. You'll pull back here potentially, set up some sort of another head and shoulders before you see that continuation. But I think Algorand's heading right back up here, guys. In my opinion, I think you're going to pull back. If you can get Algorand, or personally, I'll be looking for Algorand at some cheaper prices. If I can get it there, I will. Ready for the future. And it is going to involve Algorand. It is going to involve blockchain. That we're certain of. Just a little bit of price TA to keep people sort of a bit level-headed. You kind of diverging here. It's running out of momentum. This move massively. And you grind him. Doesn't mean that you can't potentially... Yeah. So you are setting up some kind of a falling wedge that you've popped out the top of into what is potentially a neckline. This is what makes me think that actually, because the thing is with falling wedges, they're typically structures that lead to downside. However, you popped out the top, but you've seen a harsh rejection. This is pointing for downside. So look for levels down here, guys, for your Algorands and for these other projects, and then look for that continuation. That's what we're set on. We don't think the yield curve plays out until later on down the line. That's enough in terms of the price sort of side of things. Didn't really want to butcher it in terms of go over it too much. We're more really focused on fundamentals. We talk about the price, talk about price on our daily cryptocurrency market updates, where we look at the price and we look at crypto in relation to everything else. But from a content point of view, we will talk about the price. If anyone wants to ask us questions about it, we're happy to discuss it. We have a Patreon where we get into all that stuff in far more detail. I give away my portfolio, exactly what I've bought at what prices. But we really like to cover the fundamentals. And from a fundamental point of view, Algorand makes sense to me as an investment, not financial advice, just my own personal opinion. And I think it's going to do very well moving forward. So Algorand should be a top 10. Great things happening, great news. They're really not just trying to drive Algorand adoption, but Web3 adoption. And Silvio, in my opinion, is the perfect man for being a founder of a blockchain. All I've got for you in this video, guys. You enjoyed the content, like, so I appreciate it as a comment, and I'll catch you all in the next YouTube video. Thanks a lot for watching, ladies and gents.